Today we are going to be discussing the features and important benefits of RDNA 2 and how they impact the future of gaming. Let's get into it. What is up, guys? Welcome back to yet another brand new Major Ben video here on this channel. I do hope you guys are having a fantastic day as always. I do want to thank every single one of you guys for watching my videos. I really do appreciate it more than you guys know. I am actually in a different house now, so if things sound slightly different this video, or if there's any noise in the background, my dogs are a little bit upset because we've moved house and they're still adjusting. So please do bear with me with that. I'm trying to get the audio the best quality possible, but it's a different location, as I said. So yeah, bear with me. But anyway, let's get into this RDNA 2 deep dive. So RDNA 2 is the latest graphics architecture that is at the heart of all AMD's latest PC graphics cards and also the Xbox Series X and S as well, which is what we're mainly going to be focusing on here today. This may sound like a simple upgrade over AMD's first RDNA architecture, but this is far more fleshed out than its first version and a lot more simple than just a refresh. So for example here, the RX 6000 Gen graphics card has a 54% increase in power per watt performance compared to the 5000 series of GPU, which is insane. More than double the performance per watt on these new GPUs. So let's take a deep dive into some of the architecture changes here. AMD's engineers approached RDNA 2 with a similar approach to the first RDNA GPU, which was to dramatically increase performance per watt. Original RDNA 2 architecture provided a 50% performance per watt increase over the GCN-based predecessors, which finally matched the video's incredible power efficiency, and they wanted the same for this RDNA 2 variation. So something they did keep from the original version of RDNA 2 was that they continued to keep this as a 7nm process. A big part of the original RDNA 2 efficiency gains came from the node leap from 14nm to 7nm. So they had a lot of work to do here without having to change any of the manufacturing process. So we're going to be talking about PC hardware a lot here in this first bit, but this is fully relevant to Xbox as well. So AMD stayed modest with the last generation RDNA 1 products. Its flagship, the RX 5700 XT, topped out at about 40 compute units and 10.3 billion transistors inside its 251mm die. A surprise considering their past generation of GCN architecture scaled up to 64 CUs. More on that later. Now RDNA 2 destroys this. The Radeon RX 6800 includes 60 CUs, and the 6800 XT goes past that to 72 CUs. And then the top of this as well, the 6900 XT goes all the way to 80 CUs. Just to be clear, CUs are compute units, just to let anybody know. So the die in the 80 CU 6900 XT is actually 519 millimeters and packs 26 billion transistors. By contrast, this is only just slightly lower than the RTX 3090, which packs 28 billion transistors. But the AMD GPU costs $500 less than the RTX 3090, so that's absolutely insane. The 3090 costs $1,500 and the 6900 XT only costs $999. I say only, but it's still a lot, but compared to the RTX 3090, that's insane. So copying from AMD's fantastic 5000 series cards, RDNA 2 implements pervasive fine-grained clock gating to allow parts of the GPU to slow down if they aren't being used, improving power efficiency and the longevity of the GPU. RDNA 2 additionally features more robust clock tree splitting and gating for the same reason, but more parallelized to hit the higher bandwidths capable with GPUs. But performance per watt isn't all about power efficiency though, hence the name. It's also about pushing performance. Another third of RDNA 2's performance per watt improvements comes from pushing these GPUs as much as they possibly can. The Radeon RX 6000 series cards push well past the 2 GHz barrier, and some surpass 2.1 GHz, which is insane. Even Nvidia's latest GPUs only reach 2 GHz during gameplay. To the more important features of RDNA 2 here, which is what you are all here for, but I wanted to talk through how they achieve the power and performance per watt first. Now we're moving on to the Affinity Cache here and what this actually does. Now please bear in mind this is a feature that is included on Series X but isn't included on PS5, so what we're about to talk about is the advantage over PlayStation with the Xbox. So this RDNA 2 standout feature also takes a page from the more traditional GPU. Traditional GPUs include L1 and L2 caches of various sizes. Radeon RX 6000 graphics cards add an infinity cache, also on the Series X, that behaves similarly to the game cache that helps modern Ryzen processors game so much better than earlier models did. Inspired by EPYC server CPUs, Infinity Cache is basically a massive 128 megabyte L3 cache that has been heavily optimized for gaming workloads. It's 4 times denser than the L3 SRAM in the EPYC processors to help improve power efficiency too. So equipping this GPU with such a large high-speed cache allows it to keep most of the working data for any given frame on the die. This saves the GPU from having to keep sending signals all the way across to the 16 gigabytes of onboard GDDR6 memory in many cases, especially because the cache holds a lot of temporal and spatial data that can be reused in subsequent frames. So in layman's terms, this basically is memory that can hold more information and stops it having to send this so far. So essentially it speeds up the process of all this. So it speeds up the process of getting the information to the GPU at a better rate. So this may sound like something that isn't going to make the slightest bit of difference at all, but this is completely incorrect. As you can see on screen, the benefits of Infinity Cache are absolutely insane. This also dramatically increases the performance per watt as well. On top of this, the Infinity Cache helps to enable RDNA 2's sky-high clock speeds. If AMD had tried to force the original RDNA memory system onto the RDNA 2, it would have required a massively larger memory configuration to avoid starving the GPU for bandwidth. The overwhelming bandwidth enabled by Infinity Cache keeps RDNA 2's CUs amply fed, as you can see in the charts on screen. When AMD's engineers disabled Infinity Cache in their labs and reverted to the standard cache design with 16 gigabytes of GDDR6 memory over a 256-bit bus, GPU clock frequencies fell off of a cliff. So this is all really important stuff. As you can see by the diagrams and charts on the screen, this is significant boost in performance here, which we will only see more and more of this being utilized in the next gen hardware over the course of this generation. The next big feature with RDNA 2 is ray tracing. And yes, we have all gone on about this enough. Most people don't actually understand the significance of RDNA 2 on ray tracing. So yes, AMD's next gen GPUs as well as Series X and S can handle real-time ray tracing. So AMD added a single dedicated ray accelerator to each RDNA 2 compute unit. So you see now this is why compute units are so crucial. This means with the PlayStation 5 you only have 36 compute units and the Series X has 52. So far more ray tracing performance on Series X over PlayStation 5. So this does work in tandem with the Infinity Cache here too, which helps to reduce latency and improve overall performance alongside this. So although you might not see a huge amount of games utilizing ray tracing at this time, you will see this more and more in the future. It's really going to have a big boost this for Series X over PlayStation 5 with the additional 16 ray accelerator CUs, which is absolutely insane. So going on to the next feature here of RDNA 2, which is DirectX 12 Ultimate features. Like Nvidia's recent RTX cards, RDNA 2 is fully DirectX 12 Ultimate compliant. Microsoft calls DirectX 12 a force multiplier for the entire gaming ecosystem by unifying an array of new features, mostly ones introduced in Nvidia's Turing-based RTX 20 series, but largely ignored by developers across all modern PC and next-gen Xbox Series X hardware. So this means the Xbox line of consoles and 6000 series AMD GPUs pick up some nifty things like mesh shading and variable rate shading, and also sampler feedback. Mesh shaders introduce a new approach to geometry processing that simplifies the graphics pipeline while also giving developers more flexibility and more control. In 3D graphics, a mesh is the set of verticals, edges, and faces that define the shape of an object. In current graphics pipelines, all geometry data in a mesh must be processed sequentially before any further steps can be taken. This can be a significant performance bottleneck. Mesh shaders replace the old approach with a new model that brings the power, flexibility, and control of compute programming models. So variable rate shading is a feature that increases rendering performance and quality by varying the shading rate for different regions of the frame. So for example, if you are playing a racing game, the main point of focus on your eyes would be the car. So this would be prioritized in rendering performance. So that is a very useful feature to help optimize games. Then we have sampler feedback. The sampler feedback streaming uses the results of the previous rendered frame to determine which texture texture to read into the memory. The idea is that most textures are only kept in memory at a low detail, and as the game needs higher resolution textures, those are loaded in for the next frame. So this allows the GPU to store more information due to the textures being lower and then output them at the full resolution when needed. This speeds up loading times as well as things like pop-in games. So you shouldn't see so many things pop in randomly in these big open world games when devs fully utilize this feature. So these are the main features of RDNA 2 here. I know this was a heavily packed video with a lot of information, but probably doesn't make sense to a lot of people. I did do my best to explain this and what it does, so I hope that has come across well. These features are all really important and will show massive performance gains across all games, and this will only increase more and more when developers start using these features to their full extent over time. And you will especially see the gap between PlayStation 5 and Series X, and the Series X will come out on top every single time in the future. The Xbox Series X is the only next-gen console with all of these features here, and this will be very important to that system. Thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you have enjoyed it. Please do consider liking and subscribing if you did enjoy this. Also, we do have a link in the description for the Discord server and my Twitter, and also the Instagram as well, if you want to chat a little bit more personally with me and the rest of the community as well. I do upload every Monday and Friday at 6 p.m. here on this channel, so make sure you press that bell icon as well to get notified when I release my latest video. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and bye-bye for now.